Hi, I'm Asia Matz, a senior with Boise High School, and I'm reporting to you for the EVSC Community Link. I'm here with Randy Moore to give us more information about the up-and-coming cancer support community group, Gilda's Club. Hi.
Hi.
All right, so what is Gilda's Club?
All right, Gilda's Club, really to understand Gilda's Club, you understand the essence of what happens at the clubhouse. The whole goal of what we're doing is to put up a clubhouse in Evansville. And so inside that clubhouse, people who have cancer are essentially helping other people have cancer live with their cancer. That in a nutshell is what we're doing.
All right. So what kind of things that they do to help these people that have cancer?
Yeah, the big name for it is social and emotional support. What that really means is it's someone living with cancer helping another someone live with cancer. Medicine doesn't happen at a Gilda's Club. Again, it's the social and emotional support. There was a study by the Institute of Medicine that came out in 2007 that said this kind of thing we're talking about, people helping other people with their diseases, is as important in helping someone live with cancer as medicine. And the medicine is great, but the medicine has a point where it stops. When you leave your doctor's office, now your cancer is yours to live with. And this is where Gilda's Club comes in, helping people actually live with their diseases.
Yeah. So how is it going to be staffed? Because you said that it's not really medicine, so you don't really need physicians, right?
No, no physicians, and it happens on a non-medical facility. These are freestanding facilities. I know you're going to ask me about my wife, Ann, and I don't want to jump the gun, but Ann had something called anticipatory nausea. So if she would just see something associated with her treatment, it would cause her to throw up. And so one thing that's really important at a Gilda's Club is that you don't have any of those associations, and that's why a Gilda's Club will never be on a medical campus. Wonderful things, wonderful medicine happens on medical campuses, but that's not what we're into. We are about the social and emotional support that happens in a home-like setting, not an institutional medical-like setting.
Okay, so because it's emotional, like you said, what kind of things do you guys do, well, the people that work for Gilda's Club, what do they do with the families to make it more like home?
Well, when they would come in, they would go through what's called a customized membership plan. And so there would be kind of an interview. And the people with Gilda's Club would determine what are the needs of this potential member. And then the plan would be customized for their needs. And it begins really with support, which everybody's pretty familiar with support. Okay, if you've got a heart condition, you can really get a lot of support by associating with other people with heart conditions. You can benefit by that shared knowledge and that shared experience. Same way with the Gilda's Club. So we would figure out what it is you need. You know, what is it that's going to help you live with your cancer, and your plan would be customized for that. And it would be the support groups, but it also might be, you know, say you're having trouble, you know, writing or anything that your disease is giving you trouble with. You might take a class in that, you know, at Gilda's Club. You might just want to socialize, and so you might gather there for a pitch-in dinner. One of the real hubs of activity at a Gilda's Club is the kitchen, and all of the kitchens at Gilda's Clubs are very well equipped. They're very nice, and so you might take a cooking class. You might, like I say, have a pitch-in dinner, and so there's just the programming options are really limitless.
So you mentioned your wife, Ann. Could you tell us a little bit more about the inspiration? Because obviously it came from that. Right.
In May of 2007, my wife Ann was diagnosed with inoperable terminal pancreatic cancer. And this, you know, despite a lot of advances in other cancers, there have really not been a lot of advances in pancreatic cancer in the last 30 years. It still is pretty much a death sentence. The survival rate is very, very low. And so this obviously was a huge blow. And, you know, at first, you know, you kind of just buck up and try to handle it, but finally the reality that you're going to lose the person you love most really kind of hits home. And so I developed some sleep issues and some eating issues and just essentially kind of got sick myself. And so Ann, she's the one with the terminal diagnosis, she says, wow, what's out there for not only for the cancer patient, but what's out there for their families, because it's devastating. And so she had and still has a blog called annmore.org, and on that blog, one day she wrote an entry and said, what's out there? And come to find out, somebody in Chicago, a friend of a friend of a friend in Chicago said, hey, we have a Gilda's Club up here. Do you have a Gilda's Club there? No, we don't. And Ann determined right then that she was going to establish a Gilda's Club here in Evansville. And so it started with Ann. She drew in our friends. Once I got well, I came into the team, and then I call it an ever-expanding circle of friends. And Ann died on July 3rd, 2009. But we had this thing far enough down the road that I think she realized that we were really going to make it happen. It's really going to become a reality.
So how was the first Gilda's Club started?
Okay, now you might be too young to remember Gilda Radner, because Gilda Radner, what year were you born?
1991.
1991. Gilda Radner actually died in 1989 at the age of 42 from ovarian cancer. Gilda Radner was an original member of Saturday Night Live. I know you're familiar with Saturday Night Live. Yeah, but she was an original cast member. And so when she died, she and her husband, Gene Wilder, another comedian, had the same issues that Ann and I had, trying to figure out a way to live with this awful diagnosis. And so when she died, Gene Wilder and her psychotherapist, Joanna Bull, founded the first Gilda's Club in New York City for this social and emotional support. And so that's where it gets its name. But there is a bit of an educational component for us, because as I said, a lot of the younger generation, they might not remember Gilda, so we have to let them know who she was. But she was such a gifted comedian, and we can all benefit by the way she battled her cancer, and by this legacy that she has left and that we're going to establish here in Evansville.
That's so great. So if a family wanted to become involved in getting help from Gilda's Club, how much would it cost them? It
wouldn't cost them anything. All services at Gilda's Club will be free. This is the thing about medicine and about serious diseases like cancer. One of the number one causes of bankruptcy are medical bills. And so we don't want to add an additional burden on people who are already strapped financially. And so this is why it's so important to raise enough funds to keep the services free. They will always be free.
My mother was the first one in our family to get cancer, and it came out of the blue. Healthy, active individual who just retired and was supposed to enter that next wonderful phase of her life. So when the diagnosis came, it was shattering to the whole family. Fortunately, we had a strong family, and we had strong social supports within our own network. So we went through my mom's treatment, remission, reoccurrence, treatment, remission, reoccurrence, and death in a 3-year period. And we coped pretty well. But it made me think about all the families that don't have the strong family support and relationships that my family of origin had. And in my work as a therapist in the community, I often see families who don't have healthy family systems. And I often see children who are not being included in what's going on. So when my father started his cancer experience several years later, it again reminded me about the need. And when I learned about Gilda's Club, and when I went to visit the Nashville Club, I walked in and I looked around and I said, my dad would have come to this. I could see my dad here, and he would have benefited from the programming at a Gilda's Club, but also other people would have benefited from him.
So when is the Evansville chapter of Gilda's Club projected to open?
Well, we really had hoped that we would be open early, but this was just our enthusiasm for getting the project going. But we really have to back up and look at a realistic timeline. And our board at this very moment is working on putting together that timeline. It won't be based on what we wish, because we would wish that it would be open today. It'll be based on what's realistic about when we can get it done. This is the beginning of 2010. Can we open in 2010? Probably not. Can we open in 2011? Yeah, there's a good chance that we could open in 2011. But we're not going to open until we're sure that we can prove sustainability for 2 or 3 years. The last thing we want to do is open a clubhouse and then have to shut it down because we don't have the funds to operate it. But all of us who are involved in this, we want it open yesterday. But again, that's not realistic. And so if we opened in a year and a half, I think we'd be tickled.
So being a part of this experience must bring about a broad view of emotions. So how has it changed you?
Well, I mean, I think it has helped place my priorities. The disease itself does that. And, you know, my first goal is to do what Ann wanted. And Ann wanted to open a Gilda's Club. And so that's what I want to do. I want to see her dream fulfilled. And that's number one. And secondly, of course, I want people who are today and who will in the future go through what we went through to have the benefit of a Gilda's Club, where they can get this support, where they can learn that they really aren't alone. As I said before, it is very isolating when you get a diagnosis of cancer, especially one as deadly as this. And in that moment, you're totally alone. You feel totally isolated from the world. And then you begin to realize, wait a minute, I'm not alone. There are other people who are going through exactly the same thing. And there's such a benefit in those associations. And so that's my secondary dream. After seeing that Ann's dream is fulfilled, seeing that folks who find themselves with these diagnoses, that they find the support in a Gilda's Club.
So if someone wanted to know more information about Gilda's Club, where could they find that information?
GildasClubEvansville.org, that's the website. It is a very rudimentary site right now, but it's one of those things that in the days and months to come, there'll be more and more information on there. But I accept all phone calls and all Facebook friends, and so if you want to communicate in those ways, I'm more than happy to do that too.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much for granting me this interview, because this is such an altruistic thing that you're doing for our community. I want to thank you, in case anybody's not looked into your eyes and said this, because I mean, this is really an amazing thing that you're doing.
Well, thank you.
Reporting from Fox 7, I'm Asia Matz.